Hey everyone, this is going to be a YouTube video talking about Al Casey. And for you guys that don't know who Al Casey is, there was two of them. There was a guy that played a lot of rock and roll stuff in the 60s. But the guy I'm referring to played with Fats Waller, I think when he was a kid in the 30s, and had a good career till I think he passed in the mid 80s. There's some great YouTube footage of him playing in Germany. And anyway, I like the way he approaches a lot of jazz songs. Like many players of that period, he was a transitional guitar player that I think started with acoustic guitar and moved to electric guitar. And as our friend Jonathan Stout has talked about, guys like Alan Roos and George Van Epps, how they were able to play chord melodies. Al Casey's a good example of a guy that plays some sorts of chord melodies in the blues idiom. He had a hit called Buck Jumpin' that he played throughout his career, and he re-recorded a million times. So what I think is really important here for all us blues players is to be able to take some of these chord fingerings and be able to use them in our day-to-day combat. So from the tune Buck Jumpin', we're just going to use a couple chord shapes. Everybody asks what kind of chord shapes I use when I'm playing. Besides the standard 6 chord, I have a couple other ones I think you'll find interesting. We'll play this all in the key of G. So that's something we use all the time for our jump, right? So I'm going to show two, maybe 3 chord shapes here. 2 for sure. How to play a 7th chord shape, which would be this right here, and how to play a 9th chord shape. Now, before you guys turn off the video here, there's a lot more to it, so bear with me for a few more minutes. So the chord grips can mean a lot of different things, especially the smaller the grip is, or the smaller the number of notes you have. So this is a G7, but it's also 3 notes of a diminished. Since I'm not playing the flat 9, we could sub it as a diminished. Now, this obviously works very well as a C9 chord, but it can also work as a 2 chord. And so one of the standard 2 chords we like to use is like an A minor 7 flat 5. Well, this is a great voicing of one. So if you look at it, I have the root, I have the flat 5, I have the flat 7, and I have the flat 3rd on the top. So this would be a 2 chord. And the way I devise that is if I have my 2 here, that would be my equivalent. So the root is formed by the index finger on the 4th string. Now, what do I do for my 5 chord? Well, I've talked about the flat 5 substitution for a long time. Without getting too deep in it, I'm just going to show you how you can use this over a blues. If you take the key you're in this case G, and you move it up a semitone, that would give you a nice substitute for a 5 chord. Here's an example. So if I play 2, watch this, 5, 1. There's no arguing that that would be a nice substitution for a 5. 2 chord in this shape. Now if I go back down by 1 fret, that's 1 semitone above my G. So that would give me A flat 7. So watch this. So I have my 2, and I'm going to talk to you why I finger it this way as opposed to this way, like we'd typically do, the way we were taught in trying to quote T-Bone Walker lines. Here's a G9. I slide up, I got a G6, go down by 1. Well, that's 1 semitone above my root. It's equivalent of playing right here. You can hear the difference. Or just like this. So that'll be my 5 chord. The way I find it is, here's my G major, go up by 1 fret. So take your G9 chord, and then to get to your 1, I'm going to have this nice kind of fun way of getting from. Okay, review the tape if you didn't get it, but check this out. I'm going to kind of toy around with this. Okay, now watch this. To me, that's a nice 2-5-1 comping concept. Not exactly in the whole spirit of playing like some sort of chord melody, but nonetheless something you can use. Now, the one part that we talked about is creating chord melody is usually grabbing a chord, and the way that Alan Roos would do is have a chord. He had these modules, and then you'd play little notes on the top. So if you grab a chord and you get a scale tone, that could work out as a form of creating a melody with a chord on the bottom and the notes on the top. Well, that's the whole reason I'm using these small little grips right here. That small little grip allows my fingers to be free. So if you listen to Tune Buck Jumpin', you'll have these ideas where he'll go. Which I think is really slick. So again, 1. Now what I'll do is on the 4th bar of the 1 chord, I'll go stop from using my 6th chord to this, and I'll make it a diminish. Or I can go. I hope you guys enjoy that, and I hope you guys get a little bit of a gist out of that. And I'm going to creep up the tempo a little bit more, and I'd show you how I would probably use it in a more contemporary application.